This is the Thereafter podcast. We're a media and production company based in Orange County, California. So I'm Arman Bryant, and
Hi, I'm Quinton Bryant.
we have a great guest for you today.
I mean, truly, I feel like this man needs no introduction. This man is one of the most creative geniuses to ever touch the planet, and we're really grateful we have him on today. This man has a roadmap of beautiful art and architecture from Mexico all the way up into California. He has touched so many people's lives with his art. Without further introduction, Randy Morgan.
Hi, I'm Randy Morgan. I'm an artist and a sculptor and a creator. My name is spelled Randymorgan. My website is Randyland Gallery, like Disneyland, randylandgallery.com. And you can check out my work. Pretty much my career is encased in that gallery. I've had a pretty prolific career. I'm lucky to have a 40-year career and have some credibility and some notoriety. It helps sell my work. It's good seeing you guys. I appreciate your kind words, and I'm happy to do the interview with you guys and kick off your gig.
We're glad to have you. Just to begin with, because this podcast is about highlighting artists in the Orange County area, why don't we start at the beginning of your creative journey? Like, when did you know you were going to travel down the arts? When did you know that you had a talent or a skill for it?
Well, there was a girl involved. So when I was in kindergarten, so I think it was about that far back, or, my creative leanings. I had a kindergarten teacher who I was madly in love with, and she was teaching us how to draw and paint. So to impress her, I spent extra time. Sports were my thing at 5 years old and throughout my life. So she taught me how to draw and paint, and then she entered my painting in the Los Angeles County Fair, where I won the blue ribbon. I found a lot of, I think it was the first time I was justified in my artwork, and it felt really good to get people to find out that I did something that people really liked. So from there, and I think I won the blue ribbon. She entered me, and I really impressed her. So, but then later on in the kindergarten years, she got married. She was fresh out of college, broke my heart, and I learned a life lesson there. But I had art. Now I had art. So the great thing about it is I won a dinner for my family at Sizzler, and the blue ribbon.
Yeah, no, that's
my
awesome.
mom saved the painting, which I still have. And once in a while, I crack it out when I'm doing like a one-man show at a museum or something. I'll break out that painting.
You're going to have to show us that painting someday.
I will. I have it in a safe place. I would have lost it long ago if my mom hadn't kept it until her death 10 years ago. And then my sister took it and is taking care of it. So from there, my father was a World War II veteran and a Korean War veteran. That's how we came to California from the New Orleans area.
Right.
He lied to get in the Marines at 16, fought EWO, I think the EWO era, and Guadalcanal, got out of the Marines, went to school at Alabama, and played football at a couple different schools. And then they drafted him back into the Korean War. And because he had been in the World War II, so they made him a drill instructor at Pendleton, and that's how the 4 kids came from the New Orleans area. So that started my journey. And then after the war, we moved up to Claremont, Laverne area, and below Mount Baldy.
Right.
And where there's tons of orange groves, and we had like a little ranch thing. And we kept the house in Laguna, and that's how we came down to Laguna Beach.
Okay.
In the summer. And it just progressed from there. That's how I got introduced to art, surfing. I know a lot of people in Laguna, but I didn't go to school in Laguna.
Gotcha.
It was really cool to be raised in that rural area with the horseback riding and the fishing and being raised, like a wild animal. The deal. In those days, you went out to play early on a Saturday morning, and you didn't come back till they were ringing the bell or coming looking for you.
Right.
You know what I mean? you hid from them because if you were there, you'd be doing chores. And the chores in those days were like, it wasn't clean up your room. It was like cut a lawn that was like a hole on a golf course. It was get up and get the hell out of there.
Right.
So that's how I got my work ethic, and what serves me today as an artist. Because one thing that I know about artists and my nature is to get up and go, what do I want to do? Well, I don't feel like making art today. So I think I'll go play golf or go surfing or, till you're in the mood. Well, to become a great artist and a great master, you have to work at it as anything.
Well, I'm going to have you say that again, because I think a lot of people are aspiring artists, and that, whatever the medium might be, they're working on their craft, and just say what you said again about the work ethic.
My take on this is art. Being an artist is a gift. Artist, musician, actor, whatever you do in the arts. There's a lot of different terms that we use for an artist. Like a great musician is an artist. So, and I think whatever you do in life, actually, if you do it to the level of art, then it's an art, whatever it is.
Right.
And but a visual artist works alone. I've often wanted to be, instead of, if I have my choice, I'd rather be a musician than a visual artist, because you work on some big project for 9 months and you don't know. You think it's good, but you don't know. You know what I mean? But I don't know. So I know, but I don't know. So you don't find out till later, till people go, you bring down the curtain and they go, ooh,
right.
You know.
Right.
And then as you go along and you progress in your career, you know, because you've gone down that road a few times. But musicians get instant gratification. You can go out and jam with your buddies at night.
Right.
There's women, there's drinking, there's dancing. You know what I mean? You experience it. So procrastination is not your friend.
Yeah.
Because if you wait until having a job and being good at something and becoming good at something, it's good that you have a job to do it, because it's called a job.
Right.
So once you get it in your head as an artist that if this is what I want to be, I have to leave it on the playing field. I have to make it a job.
Yes.
So it has to have a priority.
Right.
So it's really easy to be sitting in my studio, and it happens to me all the time. And my buddies they have a day off, and I've got a project I've got to crank out, and they're calling me because they just think Randy can always go play golf. Randy can always go surfing with us. Randy can run up to Big Bear and go skiing today.
Right.
Because that's and I do that. But just because I can do it doesn't mean I should be doing it. So we get by. If you're given a lot of talent in whatever you do, it's easy to procrastinate it, but it's really only prolonging your journey to be a master.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you want to get to that level, sooner or later, it becomes a job, because it should be a job.
Right.
And you should treat it that way. That's the respect you should give it. So when I mentor a lot of younger people, and I have a TV show coming up that we're going to do that in, it's like, are you going to quit messing around? Like, I'll have a younger artist that'll show me their work. So they show me 2 paintings and I go, awesome. And then I go, where's the rest of it? And I'm doing that on purpose, and then I tell them, don't go show this to gallery owners,
right?
Because they're going to chop you up and manipulate you.
Yeah. So
when you get a little body of work, by the time you get a body of work, maybe 10 paintings, 15 paintings, you'll be finding your way. You'll be finding your theme. You'll be finding your craft. All your paintings will look alike. Like God made man, and it blows my mind that there's billions and trillions and trillions and billions of people that have been on this planet, and this is one reason why I know there's a creator, because there's not your fingerprint. There's not 2 fingerprints that are alike. How does that even mathematically possible? Right.
Right.
But there aren't 2 artists, no matter who they are. A musician, you can tell if it's Michael Jackson. You can tell if it's Willie Nelson just by the first 2 notes that come out of their mouth.
Yeah.
So our creativity is innate to us
Yeah.
as artists. And so your obligation to yourself and to your art and to posterity is to find your journey, your theme, your look,
Right.
your genre, that's personal to you.
Your niche.
I mean, we all start out, a musician starts out learning scales and learning by copying other artists.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we do as visual artists too. Oh, I love that kind of painting. I love that kind of painting, but you're all over the map. What you're doing is you're practicing your hand-eye coordination and your craft, and it's looking good. But sooner or later, you got to find your style.
Right.
You know what I mean? And when you find your style, that's only done by doing a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I mean when I say to the guy, where's the rest of it? You got to wait tables. You got to do whatever you got to do, work a job, practice in the meantime, go to school, don't go to school, but you got to do the work.
Produce,
Regardless, you got to do the work. Somehow you got to get the work in.
Yeah. Randy, would you say that the days where you really don't want to work on your art and you do anyway are your most productive days?
Yeah. Because you have to learn this. I was fortunate enough to go to work for the studios, the theme parks, and get a job. Because when I was coming up, there was no social media. There was no art platforms you could sell on. You had to either put your things in a art gallery and they would take 50% of the profit. And if you didn't sell any that month, you're sleeping in the car. You're sleeping in your car because you don't have money for your rent and stuff.
Yeah.
So I had to go out and get a job. I needed a paycheck. I had kids.
Yeah.
I had to have a job. And I wasted the first 10 years out of college. I got involved in the restaurant business and I didn't even do my art till I was in my 30s. And then one day I woke up, I had some bars, I had a club, I had restaurants. And I woke up one day and I went, I'm spending my whole life in a bar. I had to walk outside and see if my Porsche was parked in the pool, up at the crack of noon. The devil's in the bar. I lost the love of my life, by the lifestyle I was leading apart from her, and learned a lot of life lessons. And then I decided I'm going to go back and be an artist because I remembered those feelings from when I was a kid and the journey that I took. My father had actually, after the war, had worked for a printing company, and he brought me home these rolls of paper. So as a child, I would lock myself in my room away from my other brothers, my brother and sister, and they thought that I was strange. So they took me to see somebody. And fortunately, they didn't give me a lobotomy because it was the 50s. The guy said, encourage him, give him more paper, more, and I would draw these storyboards. I'd roll the roll of paper up and lay in my room on my belly and draw cowboys and Indians or sports figures, and so
That's dope.
I kind of perfected my own craft myself without instruction, and which was good. But what I was doing was, if you love it, you're going to be good at it.
Right.
So if you love to play your guitar, then you're going to sit in your room in the morning and practice your scales, and you're going to be good at it.
Right.
Because it gives you what? It gives you joy.
Yeah.
So once I learned that was a place of joy for me, then it was like a meditation, And then so I apply that today, and I try to teach other artists that you got to work. It's not a goal where you go, I want to be an artist and I'm kind of good at it, and I'm doing it to make money. And I think a true artist is doing it no matter what. Like if I won the lottery, I'd go party for, I won't say how long, 'cause I don't know.
I'll get a little party in,
but
get a little.
When it was over, the little party was over, I'd go back and just start doing my art again because I like doing it. Like, well, I forget who said this. Some great man said one time that if you do your hobby for your job, you never work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, when I say work, I mean, pay your dues, love what you do. If most great artists just make art, you know what I mean? There's a business of art.
Yeah.
Which fortunately you can use right now. So you're not depending on an art gallery for your check.
Right.
which is once you get to be a prolific artist, you'll have galleries that, like my example is Pablo Picasso. They would take him to the coast of Spain or Portugal with whatever muse, hot chick that he was with that summer, and they'd rent him a villa. I mean, this is the ultimate, if you could wish how kind of artist you'd be. They drop him off, and they go pay the couple of restaurants in town and the store where he could buy food and places where he wanted to eat and drink every night. And then he'd go to the beach, and they'd come back from the beach, and they'd leave the ceramics supplies in one room. They'd leave the painting supplies in another room, the printing supplies in another room, and they just leave them alone. And then they come back from Paris in the fall, and just whatever he had, they take it and have a show and sell it.
Let him cook.
It's a pretty good way to live.
Yeah.
Because, life gets in the way of art if you're an artist.
Right.
And there's a balance.
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying. There's the business of art, and it's great today because artists can make money, but a lot of them get too commercial because they're too far into the business of art.
Right.
Instead of the making the art.
Yeah.
And I do a lot of commissions, so it's hard for me to find the time to really make what I want all the time.
Right.
Because I've got the responsibility of doing some big 60-foot wall mural that I've worked 6 months on the theme. So it's just, you have to balance your life.
Yeah.
Because you have to live your life.
Right.
And you have to spend studio time to really be a great artist.
Yeah.
And you have to be the creator of the art, and you can't get too caught up in the business of the art. So what I do is I try to do, it switches all the time because people get tired of you and you get tired of them. But you need a good agent or someone that represents you in selling your art.
Right.
And that's the best of all possible worlds, is to just free yourself by not doing too much business.
Me and Arman have always been a firm believer of the saying that you get better at what you do, not what you love. So you might as well do what you love.
Well, that's right.
Right. And I think you definitely gave us an in-depth perspective of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like I'm saying, you fall into things in life. So I fell into the restaurant business and it was easy. But I woke up one morning going, I'm not happy. Why am I not happy? Because I'm not really doing what God gave me the talent to do.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, so I'm not saying everyone has to be an artist.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of social ills. And I wrote that book, The Creation Code.
Yeah.
Can I just bring that up for a second now?
Yeah.
We can go back to it and you can ask me the questions.
Yeah.
But I wrote the book basically I wrote it for artists because it's a brand new world of how we make money. You can make money in the art world is my point. The other point is I'm trying to teach the parents that it's okay to be an artist because you get a kid with talent like I had, and luckily my parents encouraged me.
Right.
And I found my own way. That's what we did in the 50s anyway. Everybody kind of, but you get people that have a kid for an artist, and he's obviously got the talent, but they don't want him to be an artist because the mom's an accountant and the dad's a lawyer, and you're going to be a lawyer. So you waste a lot of time going down. It's what path do we go down? It's what everybody needs to find. I love it when a parent, like I have a friend that he had 3 kids, and the younger kid loved the guitar and was really good at it. So the kid was goofy. He couldn't do anything else. He was bad at school, So this guy, instead of trying to make him fit the mold he wanted him to be, he sent him over to study with Segovia and play the classical, in the summers to Spain. He encouraged him. So my message in writing the book is it's okay to be an artist because they can make money. Because the parent that's thinking like that, that's what he's thinking about. He wants the kid to have a good life, and not be like a starving artist.
Yeah.
That term has really messed up a lot of stuff. And my analogy is, what do you call an artist or a musician without a girlfriend? A homeless guy. Yeah. So not that I'm knocking the homeless, but
no.
but that explains it in
Right.
the old
I
before
see what you're saying.
all these ways to make money came along.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of trying to write that. I wrote that book to kind of be able to give people a how do you make money as an artist. Part of the book's like that.
There's another thing with your book that I want to touch on right now and just ask you about, because you were mentioning before we started filming, you were mentioning that it doesn't matter if you're an artist, whatever field that you work in, if you work your craft to an elite level, you are creating art.
Yeah.
So go into that a little bit, just because
Well,
your book is for more than just people who are literal artists.
as you know, I'm a believer.
Yeah.
That's how I know you kids.
Right.
And your
Right.
mom and the whole family because of our church
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So I was thinking one day when I was thinking about all this, because there's a lot of social ills that go along with you not following your path. So say the guy goes to college and his parents are beating him up to go do what and then he realizes one day, I want to go back and be an artist. Okay. Now he's 30. He's not 24 anymore.
Yeah.
So he has to wait tables, do whatever he's got to do to learn his craft. And he's 15 years behind his peer group. So
Right.
what social ills come because now this guy doesn't have a car. He doesn't have money. He's a starving artist because he's doing what he should have been doing 15 years before. So you can't date this hot chick because you can't ask her to ride the bus,
Yeah.
you know? So so a lot of addiction, a lot of drug addiction, a lot of, and everything is not feeling good enough about yourself.
Right.
I think that's a lot of what art, if I believe that artists are born and you can be made too if you have some talent. But I mean, I think an artist is really born an artist.
Yeah.
An accountant's born an accountant.
Right.
Watch Young Sheldon.
Yeah.
No, I mean, that kid's what he is.
Right.
Yeah.
We like become what we're supposed to be,
Yeah.
I think, in life. But artists they need to get in early.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, like I didn't take an art class in high school because I was in sports and I was doing other shit.
Right.
But I was already an artist. And I
Right.
just had to go back to be it.
Yeah.
But I went down the wrong bunny path.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's just what I think we help each other do in life is I really think that the schools have a responsibility in helping you find your aptitude. And I think they do a lot better job when I was a kid because they taught you how to read, write, and do all these things you had to know. And then they gave you aptitude tests and they figured out what you should be.
Yeah.
And I think we should just be able to do a lot better job of funneling people into whatever you're supposed to be or having more curriculum that people could be.
I have this conversation with like a lot of my friends. We just debate. I like to talk, I guess. And I'm a huge fan of schools going more towards specialization.
Yeah.
Especially by the time you hit middle school, like you should, instead of just doing standardized this, that, you should be pointed towards whether it's theater, music, art, math. You should go deeper.
That's right.
Like, you can learn calculus when you're younger. You don't have to wait till you're 18 and you're already angry about learning.
There's I think there's too much choice for a younger kid going up.
They get lost.
Because they can follow their peers, their buddy wants to do it, so you want to do it.
Right.
I mean, when I was a kid, they told you what you could do, and then they gave you a choice. You want to take home ec, you want to go to the auto shop, you want to take the art class. I mean, they gave you choices, but they didn't give you like free will choices. Too many choices, and you can get lost in that maze.
Right.
Yeah. And knowing you guys and knowing your mom,
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you that I know that she was strict as far as she made you become the people you are. But I know that she gives you free will because she lets you do this, what you're doing right now.
Right. Yeah.
She's not trying to press you to do something else.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But I think we could do as a society a lot better as the school systems and the choices we're letting people make.
Specialization.
But specialization is the key.
Yes.
Right.
And that's the key to a lot of, not everybody is supposed to go to Harvard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not everybody, I mean, some people are just, they're They want to be a mechanic. Can you be the best mechanic and the best car guy and be a race car guy and do whatever you want in that field? Hell yeah,
Absolutely.
you can.
Absolutely.
But you can't do it if you don't know that that's maybe what you might like to do.
Once you're
Right.
13,
You know what I
14,
mean?
you can start working on mechanical
Oh,
stuff.
but they do it. But they do it naturally. Everybody's had the buddy that can fix your fan
Yeah.
belt.
Right.
Yeah.
That
Yeah. Who's
Yeah.
talented.
He's just a tinkerer.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
how do I work this gas can? No, I ran out of gas. But we're all given something and we're all shorted on something.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
That's why there's a God. That's why he made us all different. That's why we all have different fingerprints.
Right.
Right.
You know, because we're not all the same. But we are the same.
Yeah.
We need the same things. You know, we have that hole in our heart that only God fits in. We're all young men with that problem. I mean,
Right.
it's a progression of life. And my father just passed a couple of weeks ago. He
Yeah, I'm
lived a
sorry
long
for your
life,
loss.
So yeah, thank you very much. But he was ready to go. So you want to go through this thing to be an artist, and it's a struggle and it's a lot of work and you have a responsibility to it. But you also have a responsibility to not miss your life while you're doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some artists are so driven that that's all encompassing. And I'm trying to teach people, like in the TV show that's coming out, how to have a balance. That's why I have Tim's story in on it.
Right.
And there's life coaching and there's life lessons, because you don't want to miss Mother's Day. You know, you want to enjoy these things that you guys were raised with.
Yeah.
So you're well-rounded. You need to be well-rounded. Art, music can be all-consuming.
Right.
And I've been accused of this, like being driven and being like, it's all about me. It's all about my art.
Right.
It's a very narcissistic thing.
Right.
Because you do it alone.
Right.
You know what
Exactly.
I mean? I do these
Yeah.
big projects, and I have apprentices and I have people like that when I'm doing a big mural. But you're working in your head alone. It's like, for me, where do you get your inspiration? That's what people ask me. And, you know, like I'll get a client that wants me to do this big mural, and they'll want me to make a render. They'll say, do a little drawing so we can get a concept. Well, I'm sorry, I can't do that. Why? Because if I do a little drawing, a little sketch, you're going to say no, and the project's going to go away. Like you got to either get in all the way in or all the way out.
Right.
So I'm always battling with who's going to go first. It's like a Mexican standoff. You know what they call a Mexican standoff? Everybody's like everybody's ready to go, but nobody's pulling their gun.
Right.
Because once they do, everybody shoots. So, what do you like to be called? I thought I heard
Quinton, Q.
Q. I thought I heard him call you a couple different names.
Yeah, I got a bunch. The only name I don't like being called, this is funny, this is good to get on camera too. Do not call me Quinn. And here's it's a funny story, but and you'll know if you meet Quins, great people, hi. They're not a Quinton. So I go by Quinton or Q. It's a personality thing. You know how we were just talking about artist fingerprints and everything? You meet a Quinn,
I'm
you're
not
like,
even
he's a
going to
great
tell you
guy.
my first name. Got me beat up at the first day of school. You know, when they call your name and then everybody laughs at you.
Yeah. We call him Q.
Q's like a double James Bond thing.
Yeah. Almost.
Q.
It's Chris.
What was the guy's name that made all the trick shit?
Yeah, that was Q.
He was Q.
Yeah.
It was Q? Was it really?
Q
He's
was
like
short quartermaster.
Yeah, he's the quartermaster.
Oh my God.
It's clean.
So
Speaking of the pencil.
Yeah.
one thing I wanted to ask you, Randy, is we've talked a lot about an artist's journey, specifically about your journey. What are some of the obstacles that you personally had to go through to get to be a prolific artist like you are? You won Artist of the Year in Laguna Beach last year. So just talk about the obstacles, because I think a lot of people see the success. They see that you created all these fantastic murals, but they don't know, maybe the focus and tenacity that you had to have along the way.
Well, I think the main thing to be successful in the art world is you got to be an artist. So a lot of times an artist just has enough talent to be able to start and learn his craft, and you still have to find your style. And I think that's the most important thing for an artist, is to start. You paint, But the cool thing about God and him giving you the talent is you start painting like artists that you are drawn to their paintings and you resonate with. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like you don't start playing country western, or if you're a rock and roller, you know you're a rock and roller, right?
Right.
Right.
Or you know you're a country guy,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
or Motown, or whatever. So once you find that, then you develop your craft, and then whatever it takes to do that. I'm the TV show that we're doing. It's a master mentor show. In the olden days, and I'll say in Europe and other countries, the artist came, and the apprentice.
The
The
apprenticeship.
apprentice, there was an apprenticeship. You would come to work for the master, and you would work on his stuff. So it's just like a family business. If you're born into somebody with a family business, if it's a restaurant, you're washing dishes, you're sweeping up, you start at the bottom.
Right.
So that's kind of what happened to me. As I studied with the guy, and then I studied in Germany for a few months at a wood carving school because I'm a sculptor. Um, I was drawn as a young man to the Jorge Orozco's and the Diego Rivera's, the famous artists, Mexican artists that do the big murals. So I spent a lot of time in Mexico City going, and I just didn't know why I was drawn to them. And now I'm doing these large murals. I mean,
Yeah.
funny thing, huh? And I forgot about it for a long time.
Right.
And then I went back to become an artist. And then when I did, I found my journey after realizing that I didn't study at an art school, but I wish I had. Like I didn't go to. So anyway, what I'm saying is we used to learn from being an apprentice. I'm getting off track. But now we learn because we have a young country. So we didn't have a bunch of master artists that came over here to grow corn and fight the Indians. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we lost that way we learn.
Yeah.
So then we started our educational system, and now there's some really cool art schools like Yellowcat and Laguna, Pasadena School of Art. There's some really great art schools where you can learn your craft. So if you're lucky enough to be, a high school to where that you've got a teacher that develops you a little bit, you can get a scholarship because of your talent. Or if you're lucky enough to have very wealthy parents that can pay for it, you go that route. If you're not, you can be an amazing artist and just pick up a pencil and be drawing. You can do it on your own. I personally was self-taught because I missed the boat in college and in high school. I was too busy playing sports to really want to concentrate on my art and girls and women. So I missed the boat there. So I ended up having to go through this metamorphosis of going into a business that wasn't good for me, and even being a success doesn't mean that you should be doing that. You should be doing what your gifts are.
Hey, so I have his book in my hand, The Creation Code, How to Find Your Medium, Manifest Your Art, and Make Money Doing It. And so this is a book for artists, but it's also a book for becoming elite in whatever you do, whatever you work in, whether you're a real estate agent or an accountant. Make your work an art. And we're going to have a link in the bio so that you can pick up this book. Randy, we've learned a lot from you today. We're definitely going to have you back on.
Okay.
100%.
Awesome.
We're going to have you back on.
Appreciate you guys.
Quinton, why don't you ask your final question, and then we'll close out.
So, Randy, this has been absolutely amazing. I appreciate you. I'm so grateful that you opened up your home to us.
Yeah, this
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I would like to ask you one final question. I'm a big believer that, everyone's story is so unique and God-given. Your trials, your triumphs, your tribulations, your art. How would you define your story in one word?
So my answer is struggle. And I don't mean struggle in the sense of the word as a negative thing. To become an artist, it takes a lot to become an artist. You have to learn, at least my struggle was, You have to become a businessman. You have to market something that you're not sure of to begin with. You have to find your own path. Um, so if you go to school, there's some great art schools. There's not really many masters around that you can study under, like like I was talking about before. So you have to self-educate yourself or educate yourself about where you got to go to educate yourself. You know what I mean? So there's a lot going on with becoming an artist. But it's a struggle. And what I mean by that is, well, you make an art piece, and like when I make an art piece, people say, do you do a drawing? Well, only if I have to for a board or a corporate piece or something, I might do the entire rendering. I just start with an idea because I work my own way, and each artist works his own way. So I may have a blank canvas or a blank space, and I might only have this art piece worked out as far as a couple of the elements I want to go in there. And then it's a struggle because it's totally consumes you with thinking about, what do I do next? What do I go next to that? Oh yeah, that idea. So you have to leave, you can plan art out a little bit, but you have to leave room for the magic, because I feel like I'm creating this piece and I'm speaking to it. And then by the time I'm finished, it's speaking to me. I can't figure out how to wrap this up. And the light bulb will go on probably most of the time between 3 and 6 in the morning. And then I'm up in the studio. That's why I need to work in my home studio. But it's a struggle. It's always with you. Once you start it, it's with you.
Right.
And I've talked to many and heard many like orchestra leaders that make an orchestra, or I watch a lot about how online, because it's online, how the Beatles used to work. Paul would get the idea for a lyric. John would get the idea. He'd pick it up. George would start playing a little riff. And pretty soon you put this entire masterpiece together. And that's what art is. So it's a constant struggle to recreate. Right. It's a renewal. I would call it and I think the other word I would use is art is a renewal, right, of the next thing. It's like people ask me, other people that have asked me questions ask me, what's your favorite piece? Well, it's my next piece, or maybe the one I'm working on. It's those two.
Yeah.
But when I feel down as an artist, having had a long career and being a little bit prolific, and now that I've been in this game for a while, I start feeling down, and I start feeling sometimes like we all have doubts, especially if we're working alone as an artist. I'll just go back and look at my entire portfolio. I'll go sit outside on the deck or sit in the sun at the beach, and I'll go through my entire portfolio or my phone with all of my pieces. And then it makes me feel better, because then I remember, first of all, I can't believe that I was that prolific, that I made that many pieces. And then I'll pull a piece up that I hadn't thought about for like 6 years. And then I'll remember back the struggle and the process that I had to go through to get that piece done. And then it's on to the next one. And that's what you do as an artist. You just keep recreating. That's what you do as a musician, because you're always working. Once you've started working, you've decided to become an artist. You paid your dues on finding your style, your genre, your audience. Then it's just, what's the next theme? What's the next idea? And that's the great thing about it, because you're never bored, but you have to learn how to stretch life in between this, to not just be totally consumed by that thing that you're doing all the time. You have to go to your mom's birthday party. You have to live life. And so it becomes a joy, and especially when you get paid. And that's a challenge as well. So, I'm a Christian, so I have faith. It's a big part of who I am, because I spend a lot of time in meditation on the Lord and God's word. But it takes faith to be an artist, because I can't tell you what I'm going to be doing 3 months from now, because I don't know. but
Right.
I know I'm going to be doing something, and I know I'm going to do a good job. Right?
There's
Just like being a believer. I don't know how we're going to pay these bills, but I know he's going to step in, and we are. So I don't really need to know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't really need to know what I'm going to do next. I just need to know what I'm going to do now.
That's awesome. There's so many nuggets in there. We're definitely going to have you back. Thank you for having us, Randy. We appreciate
You're
you.
welcome. I love you guys, man.
Love you, man.
Love your family. Love everything. You guys too. Thank you.